A lot seem to be happening, of course, on the front pages of the National Dailies. Well, as usual, we'll start with the Daily Trust Saturday. The major story here says 72 hours after Niger Republic prevents entry on Katsina, Jigawa borders. The writers here are saying laws governing the imports and exports subsist. That's according to customs. Plus, communities upbeat, commodities prices may crash. Okay, I mean, one thing is, if there is a negative situation happening, if it would yield some positivity, then I mean, we could say it's a win, maybe win-win kind of situation, because when you say communities upbeat, the commodities prices may crash. I mean, at the end of the day, things have become so expensive. Fatih, things have become so expensive that right now we would definitely make mention that when this border relationship that has always been the fear of our analysts that have been here, where they would say Nigerians should not be allowed to be pushed by the regional bloc, that's the ECOWAS, into making, a bad decision that would affect the bilateral relationship with
the relationship with other.
Exactly, especially Niger, because we have, a great relation. It's like step siblings or even the blood siblings
even
that way. There is always intermarriage.
Marriage, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to say it because the tribal marriage should be in Nigeria, not with other countries. So there's that synergy with Niger, Cameroon, Chad.
Almost, lots of area where the northern part of Nigeria, the area part, is basically like the second Niger.
I was actually shocked to hear that most of the people in Niger are actually kind of most dominated by Kanuris. I was kind of surprised to know that.
When you tend to look at histories, of course, I mean, there was a report that was done by our reporter here on the Kingdom of Borno, where the history of Kanuris was also acquired, and then they said if not because of the division of the border, which the British and the France came, and the Francophone came and made and said, okay, this border here is Chad and this is this, Kanuri would have been a very big and large community.
It is a big, large community because they
but then differently, now it has become a minor language and tribes in different countries in Chad.
But then they are majorly found in Maiduguri, but then in Chad, yes, Kanuris are there. The Shoa Arabs are together with the Kanuri. Then French, they speak. French is being spoken. And the funny thing is, Niger speaks French. Chad speaks French.
Indeed, the Francophone. I mean, right now there's even been a story on France, but anyway, you won't hear it from me here. But then the Niger Republic prevents entry on Katsina and Jigawa borders. It's really alarming. It's not looking well, considering the relationship between Niger, and even though we know the chairman of the ECOWAS bloc, which is our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu, pushed for the sanctions to be removed, but it seems to be still an icy situation between Nigeria and Niger that we do not want to, of course, experience. So we hope that the necessary stakeholders come together and talk about things that would benefit the two countries. All right, away from the major story there, it says there was an interview. What motivated me to return 10 million naira mistakenly credited to my account? That's according to POS operator. Now, this situation, I think, happened in Kano State, and this person said that in Kano Metropolis, about Kurna Asabe area, where a POS operator, Muhammad Sani Abdurrahman, made headlines and was rewarded 500,000 naira. Well, that's good, from the businessman who mistakenly transferred about 10 million naira to him instead of 10,000 naira. Like, one thing I would advise people, one thing I would always advise people is that you should not, you should have a savings account differently. Fatima, what do you think? You should have a savings account differently. That way you have a small amount that you could exactly. Because definitely. if you just wanted to withdraw 10,000 and you're using, a bank that has
you have
more than
large amounts.
Exactly. It's quite risky because you could have lost it if you had someone who wasn't really God-fearing to say, I want to bring it back to you.
It could have been traced back to him because it's easy to do that now.
It could be.
It could be. It would have been traced back to him.
Yeah,
and they will find him because his address is there, his phone number is there. That's
the bank has
that's the interesting thing with the BVN, the name, because it has all your details. So it could have been easy to even apprehend him if he wanted to take off.
Indeed.
So yeah, the best thing he could have done.
The fear of not getting arrested is the beginning of wisdom. But anyway, he made a quick effort and would have to give kudos to him.
Would you want to be arrested in this hard situation?
Exactly, with people in prison also protesting, saying we are hungry. The portions have been reduced.
So
it's better to just come out and hustle yourself. All right, away from that, rewarding story, we have livelihood. Children cashing out on local manure in Jigawa. That is a good thing, sort of. I mean, if you say that these are what these children do from Mondays to Sundays, then it would be alarming because they shouldn't be doing this hard labor.
They should be in school.
Yeah, they should
be
in
are children,
school. Exactly.
But then the school is not even safe anymore now.
Indeed.
People are actually kind of scared.
Initiative. Now, just like, there were all eyes on the humanitarian ministry, we're hoping that there will be all eyes also in the Safe School initiative right now that, has been pushed, and we're hoping something is done.
Yeah.
But then if these children, are in school Mondays through Fridays, and then maybe Saturdays, because we always encourage for children to start learning entrepreneurial skills earlier.
Yeah, handwork.
So any handwork. Yeah. So if this is something that could be said that, okay, they are learning just to try to, survive and learn how to go through the hardship of life.
I would love to have, I would love my kids to start learning handwork at the age of, yes, because I've seen my cousin, going rounds with his son, his eldest son, and the boy is actually very smart, and he's picking up. Once you start putting them on the right path at the early age, they grow up to be hardworking. So
plus it's easy. You know how the brain of a child is quick to adapt to things.
Exactly.
I've seen a 7-year-old boy make shoe. from the scratch.
Yes.
And it comes out amazing.
The funny thing is, Maya, if you go to the IDPs, you actually find all these children, doing handwork.
Okay, right now I would definitely advocate return our IDPs because it's not even funny. We need 400 people back safely, that were kidnapped
400
from the IDP in Borno. Really sad situation there because people are already hustling, in order just to survive the economic hardship. Well, away from that, story there, we have bank recapitalization. About 17 out of 24 banks might not meet CBN capital requirements. That's according to reports. You find that on page 4. Now let me go through it and check if my bank is there so that I would know, to move my money if it's safe. But then, these are requirements that needs to be done for economic purpose. So if it's not working, then they need to work more on it. All right, besides that, we have with determination, it's easy to bag first class. That's according to Abdul Baki. You find the story on page 25. Abdul Baki, I'm so proud of you. And the way he said it so effortlessly made the rest of us look as though we weren't really determined. Like, okay, you people were not really ready to do this, and that's hence the reason. But then, yes, it always boils back to determination. If it's something that you really want, then you have to fight for it and you will achieve it. So kudos to this. We're grateful that Daily Trust were able to cover this sort of achievement. That way it would motivate the younger generation into knowing that definitely hardship or goodwill and determination definitely pays. And of course Abdul Baki would definitely get his reward. I mean, everybody wants to have a first class in their company and to brag about. All right, below that we have Olubadan buried as Tinubu, Obasanjo and others mourn a sad situation of the king of Ibadan. There you find that on page 4. Organ harvesting, just victim of alleged kidney theft, is dead. That's really okay. I don't even know how I feel about this. You find that on page 29. I mean, this is something that we know have been alarming in Jos, and then there have been a case of following up to see what exactly happened, how it happened, and now a victim is dead. I don't know the whole story, if it was due to the tamper or of that person's organ that caused the death, but then you'd find that story on page 29.
To see that after being ripped off a part of you, your organ, and then you lose your life later on. It's really sad.
It is. It's horrible.
This is the second time. You remember the story?
It's really horrible there. It's really a sad situation. All right, let's move on. From that, service disruption. Repair works commence on undersea cable cuts. That's according to NCC. Now, this situation is something that also almost everyone can relate with. The network has been really, really bad, really horrible, not just in Nigeria, but also in other regional, other African countries, including Ghana, and even other countries. So these are things that definitely have been felt. Network has been horrible. Fatima, I don't know if you've experienced that.
Don't even go there, because you don't know how
I got so frustrated.
It is really frustrating, Sumaya.
You couldn't get anything done.
Frustrating, because it's been going on since Wednesday, when I've been trying to source for materials, and
it was getting your hair. Honestly, it has drawn a lot of people back, business owners and all that.
Still terrible.
It just made us realize how important network is.
There's something that connects beneath the waters.
Yes.
I was asking my cousin, who asked them to go and put it?
So someone said, why is it in water? And I'm like, well, we already know the power of water, air, the sand and all that. So could be, those are technical issues. And, we hope that due to what the NCC are saying, that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Something has to be done.
Figuratively. All right. Below the headlines, there we have the entertainment segment, where it says Nigerian celebrities react to worsening economic hardship. Oh, really? Well, they've been asleep all this while. It's good to hear from them. You find that on page 13. Now, one thing about this is that as a public figure, you also have this medium to help advocate for things.
Voice,
yes, exactly. Talk if your voice is needed, because other normal people, even when they say it in their page, they might not reach millions, but then you have that limelight that perhaps someone in a government officials would actually hear you and spread the news in their own circle. So it's good to hear them also coming out to discuss, this situation, because it is not funny, it is not a lie, it is clearly out there. And then I was listening to radio where they were saying that the inflation has risen again, the percentage. It has risen again. So definitely we are feeling it. And with all the complaint, it's not going down.
With all, if it's been going down before. Nothing has changed.
No, we were hoping it should at least, if it doesn't go forward, if it doesn't go down, then it should at least stay there. But then it's rising again, and it's really alarming and scary. It's not even funny. But anyway, these are some of the stories that you find on the Daily Trust Saturday.
Okay, so let's take a look at the Guardian Saturday this morning. The major story there says experts calls for price control boards as food inflation hit 37.92%. Now, that is what you are talking about just now. 37.92%.
Exactly. And it used to be, I think, 31.
Now, that's huge in this economic hardship.
And in just
people are
a month to 2 months. It's not funny.
It's not funny at all. You can find that story on page 2. And why Nigerians should uphold personal environmental hygiene as antidote for ravaging Lassa fever. You can find that story on page 24 and 25 of the Guardian. And then by the side, the woman of UAC of Nigeria PLC, inspiring inclusion, driving change and growth. You can find that story on page 15. And then below the belt, collaborations, diversity, inclusion resonates at Guardian Woman Festival. You can find that story on page 3. You can see the love sign, with the pictorials there. That's a nice one. You can find that story on page 3. Tinubu, Sanwo-Olu, Ayedetiwa, Datiwa, others pay tribute as 42nd Olubadan joins ancestors. You can find that story on page 3. Kidnapping. Sack non-performing security chiefs now. APC chairman advised Tinubu. You can find that story on page 3.
But then it's not just them.
Do you support?
Yeah. Strongly. I mean, people should be held accountable. It's what we've been pushing for the longest time.
Because you can't just have chiefs.
It's not the service chiefs alone. They are masterminders behind these things. And by now, I'm sure that they might have been a clue. I mean, there are ways to investigate to know who exactly are the perpetrators of this act, the people sponsoring this act, because it keeps getting worse and a lot of people are paying for it. To a point that now these people are asking for outrageous amount. So definitely
really
people,
outrageous, and it's really disheartening.
Exactly.
You know, to request for a huge amount after kidnapping people. It's just terrible. So I am
not
so
just
angry.
Them. Everybody should be held accountable.
I am so
Everybody
angry. You have no idea how I feel in my heart knowing that, you know, especially these 287 children that were abducted in Kaduna. You know, just imagining what they may be going through, how young they are, how old are they. You know, it's just terrible, the feeling that they are just there. Some of them may even die of hunger.
Indeed, because
you know, and
they are only
can't imagine the terrible things that could
day.
be done to them. It's just terrible, you know. To think.
Last time I saw a picture of a guy trending on social media, and I saw the before and after he was kidnapped, and that guy was looking so different. You know, people were even saying, was he rolled up in a mud?
Again.
Yes, he was like physically, just physically, he was looking so different. He looked so slim, you know, and his skin was so dark compared to, you know, how he used to be, which was a bit bright and lighter in complexion. So it's not funny at all. I don't even want to imagine what these people are going through.
And then you can't even imagine the mental trauma.
Exactly.
They will have to live with for the rest of their lives.
So if it means, you know, people are held accountable and people pay, either by, you know, if you can't do the job, then please leave for someone else to do it. And I'm up for it all the time.
Yeah, so Samaya is supporting the sacking of non-performing securities, which is, you know, right to say, okay, you can't just be in office and not do anything. So
Indeed.
You can find that story on page 3. Our funds are not missing. Kogi tells EFCC over trial of former governor. You can find that story on page 3. Now, that's another story again. Sumaya saying that their funds are not missing. You know, with the back and forth of saying, oh, funds are missing, and saying funds are not missing. So, yeah, that's what you want to know. And the Kogi State telling EFCC that their funds are not missing. So you can find that.
Because if it says, if they agree it's missing, then they have to provide it.
Yeah, a proof that it's not missing, right? We need to see it as well. But then you can find the story to know what is being said. So yeah, and that's it for the Guardian this morning.
All right, let's move to Saturday Punch. Below the headmask of the Saturday Punch is celebration begins in Olakulehin's residence as Olubadan is buried. I mean, a sad one. We keep losing, you know, monarchs. You know, these are traditional leaders that we hope to, you know, help us talk to the federal and state government. All right, beside that one, we see only legitimate wives should prepare food for husbands during Ramadan. That's according to NASFAT president. I don't know why I find that funny, but you find that on page 2. Only legitimate wives. I mean, is there illegitimate wives? That is the question I want to ask. Is there illegitimate? It's just wives. It's either you're a wife or you're not. But then, away from that, you know, may Allah accept our ibadah. The major story there says the undersea cable cord banks scale down operations as engineers battle to restore services. Telcos resort to backup channels. The banks advise customers on alternative platforms. Cable firms deploy engineers to cut points. ATCON encourages investments in local data centers. Exactly. I mean, people working with, you know, local data centers, how are they coping? But then one thing I would definitely talk on behalf of, you know, the telcos right now is the fact that this is not just done in Nigeria, Fatima. I mean, there was a period, I think last 2 weeks, where the social media platform Facebook and Instagram went off for about 24 hours, and then there was alarm, and it was worldwide. Even the US, we saw videos coming out. People are saying what happened for that period. So it's even with people that you see, these are developed countries. These people are good with technologies and all that. But they also had some lapses here and there, technical issues. So it's safe to say we're not the only ones. And before they'll come and blame and say, oh, it's Africa. Africa not doing it, because this network connection is not just in Nigeria. It's affected some African countries as well.
Almost everywhere. That's what I'm telling you. They said whatever it is.
But at the end of the day, yes, it's the fact that all hands are on deck in order to get us past this ordeal. All right, beside the major story there, we have people mock me for selling akara. That's Abuja Mail saying, I mean, who would really mock you? I don't see anyone mocking you, doing a great job, doing something good for yourself, because we know you are in money, So who would mock you though? It will only be, a fool that would do that. Anyway, away from that, we see how poor maintenance and safe practices send the electricity consumers to early grave. I mean, that is true. But if you remember when we had this conversation, I think 2 weeks ago, about what happened in Calabar, where there was a spark in electricity because of the epileptic supply, and then the transformer, the radiation hit, and there were about 3 people in that same radiation, so they were getting shocked. 2 people died. The other person was moved.
No, they didn't die. They actually survived, because after a while they kept, trying to leave where the whole thing was happening until they were able to. So I saw them actually come up. 2 of the guys, one that was on the wall and one that fell.
No, there were about 3.
Yeah.
No, but all of them survived.
Yeah, they did.
Interesting. I'm going to have to go back and hear that story, because I literally saw one losing his breath, like he went cold and quiet.
He came back,
and then the other one was shaking, and nobody could reach, enter that radiation.
Someone was saying,
"Don't
go
them."
there.
Of course,
I remember seeing the video, but I saw them actually.
Expert came to explain that if something like that should happen, then you should stand on your feet and don't raise your leg. The moment you raise your leg, the radiation hits you, and then you'll be shocked. So instead, if you want to move out of it, then you have to drag your leg on the sand. Yes, do not raise your leg, drag it on the sand to move.
Now that's some enlightenment that people need to...
I might not even be saying it the right way. Just make your research, of course, you would find that, just to be safe. But then electricity, the poor management is something that also we have been calling for the longest time. Media is always on the backlash saying we are pushing this narrative, but then it's there. It is really bad. People are saying this, and with all of this now, they are, the Minister of Power is coming out to say there will be a remove of subsidy on the electricity because it's rising. That just in this year, just in this year they have paid about 3.3 trillion naira for subsidy.
The tariff has been increased twice, even though it hasn't been
now they are saying
yet.
If they are going to remove the subsidy, the tariff would rise
again. So
plus Nigerians are already facing inflation. There is hardship in the economy, and then there is also the situation of the fact that people are already paying a lot on power, and they're not even getting the power. And then right now you're saying we're going to remove the subsidies. The government has to hold on to that one. Honestly, there shouldn't be another burden that should be passed to the citizens already, because people are barely trying to survive in this economy. But then anyways, moving on from that alarming situation, it says don't spare underperforming security chiefs. That's according to APC State Chairman telling Tinubu. We hope something is done about that. Entertainment, there was a sit down with actress Yetunde Bakare, where she said, I have never been asked what I bring to the table. I mean, you're lucky. This society, these people are just out there asking, what do you bring to the table? Well, for people that would say, ask a woman that, let me give you an answer. A woman brings childbirth. Yes, childbirth that comes with 9 months of complications, and then there could be death, 50-50 chance when it comes to giving birth. That's the child, birth and labor. So please stop asking that questions. This, no matter what we do, if we try to copy the Westerners, we still have culture. And right now, look at the Western world. They are regretting a lot of their decisions, and they're taking 10 steps back, but then it's already a struggle. The Western world is in chaos. So let's hold on to our African culture and, religion that says this is what this person should do and this is what this person should do when it comes to gender roles. But then, these are the stories that you'd find on Saturday Punch.
All right, let's take a look at Saturday Vanguard. The major story there says Tinubu's appointee causing him problems. Alain Oyeama says president, vice, meanwhile, need everybody's support. You can find that story on page 14 and 19. And then more hardship for Nigerians as inflation hits 31.7%, worse in 28 years. You can find that story on page 3. Now, there's the figures with the, it's not correlating with the one with the Guardian. This is saying 31.7 and the other one is saying 37.92%. So
I think it should be 37 because it has always been 31.
Exactly. So in 28 years, this is the worst that we've seen, and the situation is just getting out of hand. But then you can pick the Vanguard, look into page 3 and go through the story. Olubadan, Tinubu, Obasanjo, Abdulrazak, Adeleke, others pay tribute. You can find that story on page 6. Rachel Edward, you can find her story on page 21. Edo 2024, how I was drafted into the pro-democracy struggle, Ighodalo. You can find that story on page 3. Now the
Edo seems to be heated.
It is actually heated.
We just hope, with all of this back and forth political struggles and hustles, they should not affect. It should not affect the people of Edo State.
There is always going to be back and forth with politics, and until something is done. Chronic kidney disease, the silent killer, career wrecker you must avoid at all costs. You can find that story on page 23. And above the belt, tomorrow's leaders, now today's targets. Now, I love the caption, and it actually means what it says, that tomorrow's leaders are now the targets. And this is, I'm sure, talking about the 287 children that were abducted, because they are the tomorrow's leaders. So
indeed. Okay, so now I get it.
Please stop targeting our tomorrow's leaders.
And it's scary people going back to school. So something needs to be done. We are soliciting
for you to stop targeting the children. Everyone.
And also pushing for the necessary people to protect the leaders of tomorrow.
Yes. You can find that story on page 9. DMO debunks claim Idun bagged $1 billion Eurobond deal. You can find that story on page 2. Subsidy. Nigeria Treasury must be protected from looters. Tinubu says smugglers, subsidy beneficiaries fighting back. You can find that story on page 2.
Well, we need more than that. Well, we need more than that. I just hope, when you grab the Vanguard newspaper, there'll be details of that, because an average Nigerian doesn't even understand what that means, what that entails. We only know that there were a set of carcasses who were benefiting from this subsidy money, but then when it's removed, now they don't have access to that amount, a huge amount of money. But then, if you already know who these people are, why not just just show us their name, let them be held accountable, because they've been stealing from treasury of the country, so they should pay for it. So when each president comes and starts saying these people are pushing back, they're doing this, we need to see proof, we need to know who these people are, and these people need to pay for what they are doing.
Everyone should be
all of that is done. Exactly. Yeah, so they didn't return all those ones that they stole. So they just, okay, we're just stopping it. That's just it. So now they have the mind to say, okay, since you're stopping it, we're coming back, we're pushing back, trying to sabotage any means in order to sabotage the economy, which is not favoring.
Well, at this point, I just hope that the government does something to investigate. Like you said, if it means to mention their names, yes, why
Call
not?
them out.
So we get to know them like every other person that is being called out or put out
and
there.
They should pay back
to
all
face
the
punishment and yes, so we need that to encourage Nigerians to know that yes, the government is actually doing something. So you can find the story on page 2. Enugu, our approach turning fortune around, Mba says at London lecture. You can find that story on page 5. Now that's another story to look into, to see what approach they actually took that is turning fortunes around. So that's it for the Vanguard this morning.
It's been a while since I haven't heard anything from Enugu State. So yeah, we just hope it's all about the people of Enugu.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Saturday Tribune. The top of the page carries APC State Chairman asks Tinubu to sack incompetent security chiefs. Corruption is fighting back. That's according to the president. I mean, imagine the state we've been where corruption is fighting back. Really sad. Moving on, we have a woman caught in Ibadan pouring bed bugs into a bag of beans. Why would she do that? Is she insane?
She mustn't be. She must not be. She's not normal. Maybe.
Okay. You find that stable. On page 6.
Nobody. I mean, I want in their right senses.
That's food. I want to hear some story of maybe bed bugs. Excrete could add something to, because I'm trying to see why would someone do that. But then if you want the details of that, you'd find that on page 6.
I would love to read the story.
No, I would want. I
want to know what is.
Yes, there is that curiosity of a journalist, of course.
They must
I would want to pick that up. All right, the major story here says Ibadan Kingmakers meet jubilation at Olabadan designates house and remains of Oba Balogun buried in family compound. Tinubu, Obasanjo and others extol late Olabadan's virtues. You find that on page 7. Alleged budget padding. Apologies. Alleged budget padding. 500 million naira revelation unsettles Akpabio's group. Cost of senators' SUVs may go up. Okay, you find that on page 5. I mean, the lawmakers seems to have a lot on their hands, that it's not adding up. I mean, we've seen the suspension of the said Senator Abdul Ningi that came out to make that allegations of a lot of money. And then we saw another senator, that was the day that Abdul Ningi was suspended, also making, another remark saying, we know some senators got about 500 million, just per person. So with all of that,
some claiming they received 200, some claiming they received 200 and something,
and some said they didn't receive anything.
Talking about it is like a chicken change, that it's just picked from the gutters or something.
But in all of that, what I noticed immediately was how the mic of, the person saying, okay, we all know that Ningi wasn't lying and all that was off immediately. Something is wrong. I mean, at this point now, there is a fear from the Nigerians that, okay, then if we say that the lawmakers are checking the presidency, then who is checking the lawmakers?
Now, this is the clear meaning of corruption is fighting back.
Who is checking?
That's just
something seems to be wrong. In every rumor, there's an atom of truth. Something is happening in the Senate that Nigerians need to know.
This is a disease that is eating deep into every sector of the economy of Nigeria.
But the lawmakers should not be. I mean, they are the makers. They are the setters of law. If they break the law, then it's a lost cause for Nigerians. I mean, this one, the writer there is even saying cost of senators' SUVs may go up.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how the whole SUV controversy cost in Nigeria. And then even with that, they didn't listen to Nigerians. They went ahead with the whole, getting the SUVs. Even when Nigerians are suffering with, insecurity and all of that. And then right now, there is also, this particular situation happening, saying that there is also cost of SUVs. Should SUV be our problem in Nigeria right now? No, it shouldn't. Our children are stuck in a kidnapper's den. I mean, there's a lot of people, not even only children, even adults are still in kidnappers' den. People are hungry. We've seen the cover of how people eat afafata rice, a very bad rice, one that is supposed to be
like the sound
dropped.
of that afafata.
Yes, and then experts have a push to say that is even bad to health. People are dying because our health sectors are whack these days. Even the health workers are complaining because there is no infrastructure in hospitals and there is no light. We've seen how surgeries are done without light.
Yeah.
You see a surgeon carrying a light just like an engineer or a miner.
Saying this just reminded me of a movie I once watched that captured exactly what you're just saying, and they felt, okay, this is the way to show the government what to do. It was just like Nigerians' problem that they converted into this movie, and this is not. It's an Asian movie, but you could see as if they're talking about the struggles and what is happening in Nigeria. It means that this whole occurrences that happens in our country happens in every other country. So it's really honestly
at this point I don't even want to look at the world. I'm looking at Nigeria now. It's looking like the people we're putting out there don't really have us in heart, and it is really heartbreaking. The only thing I want to ask is who is checking the lawmakers, because this thing needs to be pushed. I mean, there should be something out there. The fact that other senators are not even talking, it brings you back to what happened to the whole party. You get happy to say, okay, yes, this is the APC, this is the LP. I haven't seen anybody from other parties even coming out to defend Abdul Ningi that was making this. So
but his governor defended him.
It's like it was just his former governor. I think
not just his former governor. There are other people. Budget supported Ningi.
Yeah, people supported it, but then we're talking about the senators there. While the election was
you just said that there are some senators that were trying to support
just
their mics were turned off. So definitely. But then even if your mic is turned off, you can come out and grant a press briefing to say what you want to say.
Something is wrong. Something is wrong. It shouldn't be like that. There should be proof to show Nigerians that this is exactly what is going on in the Senate, and we urged and beg for these people to have mercy on Nigerians, because it's not funny out here. All right, away from that controversial and sad situation, high cost of vehicles delays swearing in of new judges. You find that on page 5. Exorbitant food prices push inflation rate to 31.7% in February. That's according to NBS. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. Well, these are some of the stories that you would find on Saturday.
So within the space of February to March, it's now 37.92%.
It's honestly it's exhausting. But anyways, these are the stories that front pages that we are able to pick. I mean, we took time to dissect all of these topics. So if you want to get more deep on that, then pick up any newspaper of your choice and go through it. With that, of course, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll open the phone line to hear from you about something that, if care is not taken, would affect our society. I mean, we're talking about the future leaders. Stay with us.